in our world and in the real estate business is going to happen even more so. 5 years from now, you're not going to recognize what we're going through today. And one of the people who are at the forefront of that change is Roy. So I want Roy to, as much as somebody who just got on social media a few months ago, and I'm blown away at what social media does, that's been around forever. The new things that are coming out today are going to change the world so rapidly that we all have to be on top of these things, take advantage of these, help our business, make our businesses grow. This is something that can help your business grow, change the way you do things, make more money for you. Listen to what Roy has to say. Roy, you're developing some cutting-edge, world-changing technology. Please explain to everybody what the heck it is you're doing.
Thank you very much, Bob. Yeah, so just before I even do that, can I just get an indication in this room by show of hands? How many people here are developers, real estate developers? Thank you. How many are you on the capital side, equity or debt? And how many on services, brokers, advisory, consultancy, design? Okay, so there's a good smattering of everybody. Excellent. So we built this platform, Crescendom, for the professional real estate community, which is the developers, owners, capital, and all the services related to commercial and professional real estate. We are an AI-powered professional network aggregating the entire community on one platform. Our specific problem that we solve is business development in a fraction of the time, in a fraction of the cost. So using AI and using really sophisticated technologies, our platform will understand who you are, what your business development or your business objectives are, and we'll just connect you to opportunities in a fraction of the time, in a fraction of the cost, and in ways never possible before.
Well, Roy, that sounds awesome. When I hear business development, I think of two things. Business development to me, as a broker, is making prospecting calls and sending out emails and hard mail and texts and trying to find people that want to sell. That's business development, is sourcing the opportunity. And after you source the opportunity, the thing you have to do is sell the property. So that's the execution side. So business development to me consists of two main buckets. One bucket is sourcing, next bucket is implementation and execution. Explain how Crescendom is going to address those two buckets.
So you're absolutely right. Business development is exactly that. But we're also perhaps something else. In terms of our definition of business development, to take it to a broader meaning, we say it rests on 4 pillars, and I'm sure you'll recognize these. It's networking, it's prospecting, it's sourcing, and it's brand development. If you've got those 4 things, you have all the key elements of business development. So our platform will understand where you're at with each one of those elements. So if you're looking for the opportunity, core to what we do is opportunity discovery. As a broker, or as a capital provider, or as a developer, opportunities is what we call our headline. We'll find you the opportunities that meet your precise networking, prospecting, sourcing, or brand development criteria. Part 1. Then, once you have the opportunity, you have to execute it, as you say. You need to sell it. So our platform then, doing very clever things, will be able to take that opportunity once you've consummated it, and will get you in front of the most likely buyer again, in a fraction of the time, in a fraction of the cost. So when the bell goes in your inbox, check it out. It's a qualified lead.
Okay, so Roy, I think in terms of finding opportunity, the easiest thing to put into the system is going to be the property owners, who we're all going after. But how are you going to get buyers to put their information into Crescendom such that when I get hired to sell a building, I know I'm going to put it out in the Crescendom platform and I'm going to have a ton of people come wanting to buy that property. How are you sourcing those buyers?
15 months and $3 million worth of investment is how we start. So on our platform, day one, when you're all invited in as hopefully beta users, the ecosystem will already be on there. Profiled users, buyers, and all the rest of them. Our mission as a platform is to get all those profiles activated and all those buyers saying, I'm a buyer, I buy these assets in these asset classes within these ranges in these jurisdictions. That's part of our business development goals. And our view is within 4 years, we'll have 1 million profiled buyers, capital providers, lenders across the ecosystem with all the criteria already defined. So our smart technology will be able to make those really exquisite, detailed matches.
Okay, well, Roy, I have to say, I think everybody is hanging on every word because I haven't heard a crowd this big be so quiet in such a long time. This is awesome. So let's get into this a little more because this is fascinating. So does your program have algorithms that will take the criteria of the property that you want to try to expose to the platform and link up people? Do you have to put in different things, say this is a multifamily building, this many units, this size, whatever? How are you, as the real estate agent, which seemed like there were more agents here than anyone, how does the agent put data in to maximize the efficiency with which we're getting to the buying community within the Crescendom site?
Great question. So your journey to success on Crescendom starts with a profile, like every good system. But because we're a professional system for commercial real estate or real estate, we understand the type of questions we need to ask you in the shortest form possible. So your journey begins on our platform by saying, why are you here? And you have a few options. I'm here for networking, prospecting, selling, new opportunities, sell a property, a few things that define who you are. You're then invited to fill out your specific profile. LinkedIn has one ubiquitous profile and everybody puts in their stuff. Our system is very different from that perspective. You come in per role. If you're a broker, you come in as a broker. I'm a broker, I do these assets in these areas with these asset classes with these sizes, and I'm targeting these investors or these professionals with really very defined details. It takes about 3 minutes to fill in a profile, but we know with questions to ask to get to the essence of who you are. And by the way, you can be a broker and an investor, 2 different profiles, 2 different areas. How do we achieve that? All in the technology. But the short story is we understand who you are, and our AI tool, you've all heard of ChatGPT, of course, I mean, come on. So our tool is called ChatCRE. Our investors are the same investors in ChatGPT. So the basis of the engine that drives our platform is that, plus many other tools. So the short story is we do get to know who you are very quickly by aggregating some basic take-on data. We then give you all the tools that you can choose how you want to engage your audience, through video, through appointment scheduling, networking tables, and all the rest. We figure that out for you. If you're a broker and you've got listings, we'll even put that in your profile for you. Don't worry, we got that. So there's some really clever stuff happens to fill out who you are. But that profile is seriously important to understanding how to connect you to the opportunity for you. Not anyone else, for you. And that's how we really start the journey.
So Roy, if I get an exclusive listing on 123 Main Street, am I having my internal graphics people put together a setup on 123 Main and then downloading it on Crescendom, or are we just inputting stuff into a Crescendom form? How does that work? From a mechanical point of view, step through the process of how someone is going to interact. How is a broker going to interact in the example I just gave you? How is a buyer going to interact? How is an architect going to interact? How is a capital provider going to interact? You're trying to have this this platform appeal to a wide array of market participants. How is each market participant going to interact with Crescendom?
So, as I mentioned, it's very much a very particular, unique journey to you. From the moment you enter the platform orientates itself to your specific business objectives. If you're a broker, you have something you want to sell, yes, you can come to the system, you can load the details, and we'll find we'll match you to the buyer, or you can import it from one of the tools that you currently use today. Ultimately, and this will take a while to get to, all the systems out there that you use for marketing will be able to be connected to the platform. So you'll have one source of entry into your world of real estate through Crescendom and single sign-on to these multiple platforms that you have.
Let me interrupt you for a second. So if I have a setup done and I download it to Crescendom, is Crescendom going to interpret the data in the same way if I filled in fields in a form that you have? What's the difference between the two? Is there a difference in the efficacy of whether I download a setup that's already been prepared versus filling in a form that's on the site? What was the best way to have your algorithms find the right buyer for my building?
So our algorithms, or our system, knows the optimal way to connect your building or your asset to sell, the optimal way to connect to a buyer. So if the data that you import into our system matches to what we see as the optimal method of doing it, nothing more to be done. If there's anything missing, we'll raise that and say, you're missing these 3 data fields, input those.
Okay, and so let's talk about debt. A big driver of what happens today is how is debt going to be engaged with this particular opportunity. So typically what we do is we get hired to sell a property. We'll call on a debt broker within our platform, hey, go to a couple of banks, see what kind of debt might be available for this opportunity, and that gives us guidance that we could give to a buyer. Theoretically, you're going to have a lot of lenders on the platform. So how is there a way that as a sales broker, I can put information on the site and have a bunch of lenders, everybody on the site say, hey, yes, we would make a loan on that, and this is basically the terms that we would give. How is the debt component of a sale transaction going to be engaged with on Crescendom?
Let's use that as a great use case. So there's 2 sides to that transaction. You trying to find a loan and the lender. Let's start with the lender. The lender will come on our site, say, we're a lender, we do this kind of lending with these kind of assets, with these kind of criteria. Here's the underwriting criteria, and this is how we'll underwrite a borrower. We got that data. We know the various buckets of debts that he's going to do. Maybe permanent loan, land loans, or construction loans, whatever it is. He sets himself up. You now you're looking for a client to find the loan. Come to the platform, post the loan, set your privacy criteria that it's truly private, no one can see it other than the right lenders. While you're posting your loan, the system, being the clever system that it is, know the specific core data that it needs to capture from you. You'll input that data, it'll match you exactly to the right lender. So when it brings up the list of lenders, you'll know that your asset with that borrower meets the underwriting criteria of that lender. So we just try to squeeze out the wasted time between the borrower and the lender and get you into a real qualified conversation.
Okay, and in terms of the buying community, there are 3 very distinct buckets of buyer types that are active in the market today. And the ones that are the most disadvantaged are the people who are very optimistic about the future of New York, that want to buy New York properties, and they don't have their own money, they have to go out and raise equity. And it's really, really tough to raise equity today. So there are going to be equity providers that are going to be part of the Crescendom environment ecosystem. How are the equity players going to be involved in this? And if I put a property for sale on the system, can equity folks contact me and say, hey, Bob, I'd be interested in putting equity into that deal if you have an operator that's interested in buying it, because that really is the secret sauce of the business, because there's a small sector of folks who have their own capital that want to invest, and then just about everybody else relies on other people's capital. They need access to that capital. How is Crescendom going to provide access to somebody who has the technical expertise to operate the property, believes in New York, wants to be doing deals, but doesn't have their own capital? They have to access capital. What's the interface look like for folks who want to do deals that need capital?
So, you know what they say, seeing is believing. So what we're going to be doing, a roundabout way to get to the answer, but what we're going to be doing after this session and from Monday onwards, we'll be inviting everybody in this room to join our closed beta to actually experience how some of these really cool features work. So the question you asked, Bob, really talks about the specificity of how commercial real estate people work. The unique thing that we're real proud of, myself and my partner Josh Kramer, who invented the system, was we've really taken all the sensitivities, confidentialities, and methodologies of commercial real estate, including the investors, and translated that to an online platform. So, to be specific to your answer, if there is a developer who's looking for capital for a particular development, be it looking to find an investor at the pursuit stage, or when it's LOI or under contract or own project, our platform knows how to interpret those needs relative to the phase of where they're at. And then we'll know the type of investor to introduce them to. Because within the context of our take-on, we similarly profile the type of investor to know what he's interested in, at what stage, with what type of developer, and in what context, as an LP, as a JV, as a GP, in what context. So again, when that contact is made, and by the way, if I, Roy, developer, have an opportunity and I'm looking for an investor, by the time the investor meets the match, not only will we make the match, our system will say, Mr. Investor, Roy's looking to find our investor for an opportunity down in Miami. He's in pursuit. Here's all the data about the project. Here's all the comparables. Here's all the research. Here's everything you, Mr. Investor, need to know to at least make an informed decision as to whether you want to start that conversation. All that data is there.
So Roy, I'll take you back 20 years ago at my old firm, Bob.Knakal. We had thousands and thousands of people on our investor list. And we tried to make the process of getting listings in front of investors more efficient. So we put together an investor questionnaire, and it had 50 boxes you could check about what type of property you wanted to buy, what location, what size, how much equity you wanted to put in, and filled out all this stuff, and then we put it into the system. And only about 30% of the people who wanted to buy properties actually filled this thing out. But theoretically, if you had all investors fill out exactly what that criterion is, you could have an algorithm do great matches of available properties and buyer appetite. Are there requirements or the ability for a buyer to put in exactly what they're looking for so that they become a higher quality target for a new property that's put into the system?
Absolutely. So key for a platform like this to be successful is the caliber and the quality of the data. You know the old statement, garbage in, garbage out. You'll find when you all log into the system, most of your profiles will probably be there already with a lot of data about you. So the algorithm and the system, and this is all publicly available data, so we're not in any breach of any data security, by the way, so just so you know. But the caliber and the quality of the data is essential. Part of our job as a platform is to be attractive enough to bring on the full rich data set that everybody wants to see when either looking for a transaction or doing a transaction. And a lot of the data set will be there initially, and as the system becomes more active and as people come on and start activating profiles, we'll get a much richer data set to make the caliber and quality of those matches that's much more precise.
Okay, that's great. I'd like to open it up if anybody in the audience has any questions. I'd like to put Roy on the hot seat. Yes. Excuse me, you have a question?
So the question is, how do we source the off-market deals? The answer is we don't. We rely on the community to bring the deals. If you had an off-market deal, you wanted to find the right partner, you would bring the deal, you would set your privacies such that it only targeted the right kind of buyer for you, and it could be kept very much confidential within the context that you want. So we don't find the deals. Our job is to bring the community and stimulate activity within the community to find the deals and make sure the caliber and the quality of your connections are precise for you.
Any other questions from the audience? Yes. How much does it cost? What does it cost to participate in Crescendom?
Oh boy, right. I hope you all got your wallets out. So, Crescendom, we aggregate, as I mentioned, all the professionals, all the vendors, and all the market data. So it's all on the one platform. It's a lot of data. The way we organize this data is by way of making it look like a virtual trade show. We put all the data into different halls. We have the vendors hall, we have the capital hall, we have the services hall, we have the lenders hall, we have the market, all these different halls. So, as you all know, when you go to a virtual trade show, you go to a trade show, you go to the hall, you go to a booth for networking, prospecting, sourcing, chat to people. Same thing here. So we invite you to the site, you fill out a profile, and there's one of three ways of participating on the platform. One, as a visitor. Three, come in, knock yourself out, a la LinkedIn, by way of a short description. Or you can be a networker profile. You come in, you have all the tools for networking, the ability to do sophisticated matching and so on. We think it's going to be about $100 a month. And then, of course, as a company, you'll be able to open a booth and have all the tools, upload all your data. The system will bring all the data, all the research, everything about you. It'll just put it there for you. And we think that's going to be about $300 a month for companies. And companies can have all their people doing different things in different profiles. So that's how we think it's going to play out. The beta test that we're going into now, which will be 3 months, which you'll all be invited into, with our researchers, we'll try and establish what the price points need to be. So hopefully with your help, we'll figure out exactly how much it's going to cost and where the price points need to land out.
Other questions? Yes.
So the question is, what differentiates us from Alignable? I have to say, I don't know Alignable, I'm afraid. What do they do? Right. Yeah, look, I'm sure that so let me talk to that for a moment. I don't know that company, but let's talk about the competitive environment. Who's a competitor to Crescendom? I suppose our biggest competitor, if you want to look at it, would be something like LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a networking platform that brings 300 million people around the world of all different areas, mainly to find jobs. But it's a very effective networking platform. We take it to the next level, and that's one component of what we do. We totally dedicate to commercial real estate. Our only reason for being is to connect you to more opportunities in a fraction of the time and a fraction of the cost. And we've got clever stuff to do that. Who's doing that using the type of technology set that we're doing? We don't know anyone that is. We've been doing it for years in research and development. We've spent millions of dollars bringing it to this point so it could be an event like this. So whilst there may be others, I don't know who they are, but this is so specific to this industry.
Yes.
How do we get on the beta version?
How do you get on the bed? Great question. So we know who's at the meeting tonight. Our marketing team from next Monday or next Tuesday, I think, will start reaching out to you, with the invitations to coming to closed beta. We'll be bringing on group by group by group initially, but as long as you're here tonight, you will get an invitation, and we're going to go through the ecosystem, owners, developers, equity and debt, all the service providers will all be brought in. There'll be someone curating exactly how to get best value from it, and hopefully you'll be able to give input as to love this, hate that, do this, do that, this works, this doesn't, such that when we open up in 90 days, generally availability, you'll all have free access for at least a year, and hold on to your hats.
Okay, Roy, this was awesome. I think everyone is interested in Crescendom. One more question, last one. No, you can't use it in lieu of an investment sales broker. Absolutely, positively not.
Absolutely not. The question is, can this platform be used in lieu of a sales broker? Look, we all know this is a professional business. You need the professionals to be doing it. Owners are always going to still want the brokers because an owner is busy buying his next deal. So this is optimized to make the ecosystem of the professionals involved in the value chain much more effective at what they do. Not there to replace anyone.
And if I could just add, until the point at which 99% of buyers go on Crescendom, then you may need a sales broker. Otherwise, by that time, I'll be retired. So I just want to leave. This was awesome, Roy. Awesome. I mean, I'm going to look into this. I want to get on Crescendom. I want to use it. It sounds like a great tool. I just want to leave you guys with a message, right? And the message is that take heart in what's going on today. A lot of people are very upset about the condition of the market, what's happening, but just remember the market always has been, is, and always will be cyclical. We're going to come out of this. And if you ask, what can I do to help get this city, this market into a better condition, you have to become politically active. The biggest problem that New York City has is voter apathy. You realize that 15% of registered voters actually vote in the city? That's why we have these knuckleheads that have been elected that are doing everything they possibly can to hurt people in business and hurt people in the real estate community. How many people here are free market tenants living in New York? Raise your hands. You're not rent stabilized. You pay free market rent. Your rent is too high because your politicians will not incentivize the private sector to build more housing. So many ways that more housing could be created. And even if politicians are extraordinarily left-leaning and believe that an economics 101 textbook is capitalist propaganda, look no further than the pandemic. A lot of people moved out of the city. We had vacancies soaring, which is effectively is a proxy for increased supply. Rents went down by 30%. If politicians really wanted your rent to go down, they would incentivize people to build buildings. They'd create tax incentives for people to build buildings. They'd bring back the IAI and the MCI to free up the tens of thousands of apartments that are nailed shut. What the heck are these people thinking about? And I don't care whether you're an extreme right-wing person or extreme left-wing person, if you're a politician, you can't do anything unless you have money. And you're not going to have any money if the business community is not doing well and the real estate community is not doing well. The real estate community contributes 54% of the city's budget through real estate taxes, transfer taxes, mortgage recording taxes, other taxes and fees. If our industry is not doing well, the city is really in a tough spot. So if you have any chance to talk to a politician, encourage them to incentivize the private sector to build buildings, to create more supply. It would be better for everybody. The Wharton School and MIT both came out with studies showing that in the absence of rent regulation, average rents for people in New York would go down. How could you argue with that? Become aware politically, encourage everybody, all of your friends, all of the people at your company to become politically active. If we had normal, common sense thinking people voting, if we had, instead of 15% of our registered voters voting, we had 80% of our registered voters voting, this would be a completely different city. Much better for everybody, for the highest earners and the lowest earners and the people who rely on city funding. It would be better for everybody. So if you want a better New York, become politically aware, convince and encourage your friends, your co-workers, your family. Everybody should become politically aware and get active, deal with these issues. It's in all of our interest that this, the greatest city in the world, become even greater. But we need your help in order to do it. So I'm telling you, get out there, encourage these things. All of these things can make the city so much better. The fact that you're here tonight is great to learn more about how the future of our industry is going to work, but the future of our industry is going to be so much better if we had policymakers that really understood how important real estate and business is to the future of our city. Thank you very much, everybody.
Sorry, I have just one thing to say. Last word, I promise, is going to be quick, but I think you're going to like this. Not a lot, but you're going to like it. We're on a journey, we're on a tremendous journey. This event tonight was designed to bring you all along as participants on that journey. We think this is going to be, we think this is going to be a company worth, multi-billion in 4 years. Those who wish to come along for the ride, we'll be sending out as part of our beta invitation a link. You can invest from $1 to $1 million. If anybody wants to participate just for the ride. So with that, I just want to thank you all so much. I want to thank my partner, Josh. I want to thank our investors, Mike, Josh Kramer, Mike Wilkinson, and everybody else who's participated on this extraordinary journey to date. Thank you very much, everybody, and thank you for coming.